thank you for taking the time to answer some questions. The way we see Japanese whiskey here in Europe has changed a lot over the last years. And I wonder if the way Japanese people see Japanese whiskeys has changed as well. What would you say?
In a sense, yeah, Japanese people seems to enjoy more of Japanese whiskey than before. But we had a very nice peak time in 1980s, about 30, 40 years ago. That time, we consumed more whiskey than we are consuming, last 2 years or so in Japan.
Okay.
I think this time, the reason why Japanese people are drinking more whiskey is because the young generation seems to think that they have found out the whiskey. Because last 30, 40 years, whiskey consumption has been declining constantly. So that, the parents or fathers of the young generations hadn't drunk a lot of whiskey yet. So the young generations of that parents didn't know anything about whiskey. Right? All of a sudden, they seems to found out that whiskey is there. Although whiskey had been there many, many years. So that's the reason why Japanese people start drinking whiskey. But, outside of Japan, Japanese whiskey seems to be very popular last, I would say 3-4 years. That is just coincidental, I think. Nothing to do with Japanese trend of whiskey.
Okay. So Japanese people enjoy whiskey as highballs, mostly?
Yeah, that's how we introduced. As a Suntory company, we had to do something about it almost 9 years ago or so, when we had a downtime and almost the whiskey market was dying. And so we thought that that should be something new to the generations. Then we reintroduced highball style to the young generation, which was very new to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you look at Japanese whiskey, at least as I see it, it's very subtle, complex. You can find a lot of taste and different flavors in it. And I think it could be a waste of good whiskey to drink it as a highball, don't you think?
So we have a bit of a classification, or I would say hierarchy of our brands. I think most of young Japanese people enjoy Kakubin, which is the standard category, a very affordable price. Then climbing up the ladder of the hierarchy, we have non-aged single malt and also non-aged blended whiskey hibiki. That can be enjoyed with a soda, highball style. But going upward, single malt Yamazaki Hakushu 12 years old and hibiki 17 years old, then I think we'd rather offer the Japanese drinkers to enjoy it neat or over the rocks. Yeah, not highball.
Okay.
So depending on the type of the whiskey you drink, we offer a different style or highball style.
When you look at single malt whiskey from Japan, what would you say is the essence of it? What makes it so different or outstanding?
I think this has a lot to do with the founder's spirit. Shinjiro Tori, he actually started off on Japanese whiskey. He really wanted to create the authentic Japanese whiskey, which appealed to the delicate palate of Japanese people. We're talking about almost 100 years ago. That time, Japanese people were not exposed to Scotch or bourbon type of whiskey. They are very distinguished and characteristic. Scotch whiskey at that time were very heavy and smoky. The bourbon whiskey is very, very woody. And so Japanese people wouldn't find them attractive at all. So Shinjiro Tori really wanted to create a whiskey which appealed to the Japanese palate. In order to achieve that, quality and character, he actually has come up with the blending technique.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just offering, a very significant or characteristic whiskey, instead he actually prepared many different types of whiskey in front of him and blending all those different whiskey to make the perfect harmonized blend.
Like, for example, in the Hakushu.
But that is single malt.
Okay.
You see, the way Shinjiro Tori started the whiskey business is blending technique.
Okay.
Then, in order to achieve the highest quality blended whiskey, you need many different styles of whiskey from various distilleries. But unfortunately, we don't have many distilleries in Japan. So we had to come up with the unique idea of whiskey making, which means that we make many varieties of whiskey at one distillery, which gave us the edge to make a very good and quality blended whiskey. But, with that thing in mind, please think that you have many different styles of whiskey from one distillery in front of you. But that is for the blend. But when you are going to introduce the single malt from that distillery, are you going to just rely on just one type of whiskey out of those and different styles of whiskey? You see, our philosophy of whiskey making is blending. So the second master blender, the son of the Shinjiro Tori, who actually came up with that idea, when he introduced the first single malt whiskey Yamazaki to the market in 1984, instead of just picking up the one or two styles of single malt whiskeys we produce at Yamazaki, he thought, why don't we use so many different styles of whiskey from Yamazaki distillery, blend them in a sense, to make a single malt. That's why even Yamazaki and Hakushu, which contains many different styles of whiskey, that's why it gives the very smooth, well-balanced, but still maintaining the dignity of single malt whiskey.
So you achieved this by having a couple of different stills within the distillery?
And many different styles of pot stills in our distillation, yeah.
And that you would say is the essence of Japanese whiskey, that it's even when it's a single malt, it's a blended one. Huh?
Yeah, so, it's very misleading by using the word blending, but that's the easiest way to explain it. But in the professional field, we call that vatting, V-A-T, vatting. Yeah.
So, thank you for those interesting insights.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy your day here in Hamburg.
Thank you.